What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jake Shavink here, and yes, the Packers have officially traded Davante Adams away to the Las Vegas Raiders for a couple picks in the 2022 NFL Draft, a first rounder and a second rounder. So, Packers fans, there's some work to do, obviously, in the wide receiver room right now. In the room currently, Allen Lazard, Amari Rodgers, Randall Cobb, Malik Taylor, Juwan Winfrey. Doesn't really inspire confidence, obviously. And really in this video, what we're going to do is go through some options, whether it be free agency and trade, and then talk about some draft options initially to just kind of give an idea of who the Packers could be looking at to reload this receiver room and how it can be done very swiftly in an offseason to get things back on track, to get an offense that'll still be as explosive, as dynamic as it has been in previous seasons. So obviously, to start with, I think in terms of free agency, obviously Davante Adams now being traded clears up a little bit of cap space. So what does that do for you? It gives you an option to bring back guys you may want to keep on the roster for some continuity, and that opens the door for Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who has been slowly progressing into a very good deep threat, obviously, for the Packers. He stretches the field vertically, which opens things up and gives you more space underneath, intermediate, and again, gives the offense that explosive element, yeah, but the spacing is the key to have, again, more open lanes, stress more defenders, and create windows that Aaron Rodgers can throw it into with ease. So Scantling coming back would be nice. I don't think it's the end all be all, though. I don't think necessarily that has to happen. But obviously the familiarity is a big thing because there's obviously going to be a lot of new faces in the room when all is said and done in May. So Valdes-Scantling is an option. It's a cheap option to bring back. Obviously, there will probably be talk about Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, honestly, just because, again, the number will be pretty high. And the Packers, it's not like they have a crazy amount of space to make this happen. But also, Beckham tearing his ACL in the Super Bowl just a little hair over a month ago, doesn't feel like he's going to be returning anytime soon. So I feel like he's probably going to go back to the Rams on a multi-year deal. Other than that, obviously Jarvis Landry being released raises a question, and I think that's going to be where a lot of people go is, okay, this is a reliable guy, slot option. Guess what? They have that, Randall Cobb. So I don't quite get that idea. Jarvis Landry, I know it's going to be brought up. And I think Juju Smith-Schuster is kind of the same way. Again, a possession guy. Again, he could threaten up the seam a little bit. He's still a young guy for sure at the receiver position, which I could see that maybe over somebody like Landry. But that comes with a heftier, obviously, price tag for this season and beyond. So not sure really in terms of the slot options that the Packers really need to go that direction. Obviously, Allen Lazard can move in there. They have high hopes, obviously, for Amari Rodgers in year 2, and you still have Randall Cobb, who's been that guy when he's healthy for a long time. So I'm not liking those. What I do think Green Bay could do in free agency is potentially look at 2 names, both of whom have played for the Texans recently. One played a season with Miami, really didn't play much, but Will Fuller is definitely somebody the Packers have been interested in. And so if they don't bring back MVS, you're looking at somebody, okay, we need to find a deep threat, some explosiveness in this offense somehow, because right now we got a lot of guys who are just kind of possession guys who don't offer much explosiveness at all. Will Fuller does provide that, and the Packers have been interested in trading for him before and didn't get the price they wanted. So Will Fuller, when healthy, again, what he does really well is obviously winning deep with that speed that he has to threaten downfield, to stack, to eat up cushion, and to really separate away from defenders late in his route down the field. But he can also win quick on slants, and that's something where I think a lot of people maybe not look to that as much because they know how good of a deep threat he is. But in his final full season with Houston, did very well winning underneath in the slant route, winning in those short crossers, and has the speed, obviously, from catch to transition to get upfield to attack. He's got that. So it does give you a cheap option there. Obviously, coming off a year where he was hurt and who knows what else. So the Packers will potentially, I think, throw a bone out there and see what Fuller will ask for, just because they've been interested before. But I think the other one to note via trade is definitely Brandon Cooks. And we're going to bring this up, hopefully, again at some point with other teams in free agency is just like Brandon Cooks is a really good player. He's bounced around everywhere. He was a decoy with the Rams. He was very, very good in New Orleans. He did well in New England, and he's produced in Houston too, even without Watson being there, throwing him the football. So again, that's another guy where, again, he's in his last year of his deal now, but it's not a crazy number this year, and perhaps you can get Houston to maybe fork over a little bit themselves with the situation they're in. And maybe it's, again, maybe you throw a 3 and a 4, something like that to Houston, where, you know, you have a comp pick 4th this year and you have a 3rd round pick, which, again, you've struggled to find impact players in the 3rd round. It's just some weird thing with Green Bay about 3rd round picks just not panning out. So really, what does that hurt? You have 22, 28, and then 2 more picks in the 50s. You can move back into the 3rd round, trade back if you want to get more picks with any one of those selections. So to give up a 3rd and a 4th really for Brandon Cooks would be awesome. Even if it's 2/3, I think is something even I would still consider. 2nd and a 4th, maybe. You know, Brandon Cooks is still young. He's younger than Davante Adams is. And again, he's been reliable. He's been explosive. He can win everywhere for you. And that's just another dynamic presence that I think Rodgers would really like to have. Because like I said, Brandon Cooks is talented. So that's a name to watch. Other than that, in free agency, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Julio Jones stops by for a little tour in Green Bay. Hopefully there's still something left in the tank with Julio Jones, even if he doesn't sign there, because he's just a fantastic athlete to watch and just a fun receiver to watch play. One of the best I've seen do it. So if he is an option, that's fine too. I get that. Sounds great. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that excites me outside of that, really, in terms of what the Packers could do before the draft. Now that we get to the draft here, we're sitting with picks 22 and 28. You can do a lot here in the 1st round, and whether it be moving up, moving back, whatever you want to do here. I think there's a good chance Chris Olave is available at 22. Now, again, when you look at Packers and their thresholds for receiver, 200 pounds, 195 seems to be kind of where they draw the line a little bit. I don't think you can do that. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like, I kind of wish this had happened a season earlier, because I think the top of last year's draft was a little bit better than the top of this year's draft. So I like Olave. I think he's a very, very good number 2 in the vein of Brandon Cooks with a little less catch radius ability. I think he really fits that mold, though, of a guy who's going to be extremely productive. He'll separate for you. He does all the little things well in terms of setting up his routes, in terms of setting up defenders to create space for himself. Not the best after the catch, like I said, not the best catch radius, but a very good player nonetheless. If Treylon Burks slips, goodness, like that would feel very slam dunk like, and I get it. Got a little bit more speed, but he feels like a bigger version of Amari Rodgers, right? Where you're kind of like, oh, he plays a lot of slot, give him gadget touches, all this stuff. Dude's got size, dude can go up and get the football, the catch point. Obviously, there's a lot with him in terms of needs to understand, you know, how to play against leverage when it's inside, when it's outside. You know, how to set up routes, how to get defenders to move out of where they are leveraged. There's so much that Burks needs to work on, but very, very talented player. If Garrett Wilson falls at 22, I don't know how Green Bay wouldn't be interested. I know he's another guy who's a little bit undersized in, 180 some pounds, but like when you look at being interested in Jefferson, who was a little bit heavier, who carried more weight, but you're interested in Jefferson, you're interested in Bateman, 2 guys who are technicians at their craft. Garrett Wilson is that as well, with the ability to attack the catch point very well. He's got great leaping ability. He's slippery after the catch. Not uber dynamic per se, but can sink the hips, change direction, and get skinny and make guys miss in space. So they have options in the 1st round. Now, they do premium position in the 1st round. So if they don't go that direction, I don't think they'll double down. I want to mention Jamison Williams quick before we move. Elite speed, but again, another guy's like 178, I think, at the combine. We'll see if maybe that weight was dropped because of injury. We'll see. But again, he won't play potentially until October, November at the earliest. So there are options, though, in the 1st round. I know I didn't bring up Drake London. I feel like he's going pretty early. We'll see, but they have options in the 1st round. Now, tackle, edge, probably going to be on the docket in terms of what the Packers are going to do with one of those two picks in the first. I think George Pickens is interesting because you're getting a guy who, has shown the emotion, the toughness out there. The route tree was limited, and that was clearly Georgia, I should say, kind of defining his route tree and not letting it expand too much. It was kind of a lot of, there was a lot of go win down the field for sure. And he's got the catch radius. He's dynamic enough to win downfield. The 40 time was good. So Pickens is an option probably at 28 or potentially with move down. So I would still potentially put him in there because, again, that's an X type with some explosiveness and a catch radius and impressive hands. Just a guy who really didn't get to put it all together after injury in 2021. Maturity issues, potentially, but we'll see. Christian Watson's obviously a guy to pay attention to as well. I don't know where he's going to end up going. There's obviously late first talk, early second. I like Watson. I'm not sure he's an X where you're like, yeah, you can win on your own. Now, that's okay. He is kind of got the body type of an MVS, so that interests me. But if you want a number one, I think you got to go get Wilson. You got to go get Burks. Maybe you get London or Pickens. Now, so if Packers go edge tackle, let's say, in the first round, and you're at 52 or whatever the pick, I forget what the pick is exactly that the Raiders have, but Raiders pick in 59, you want to move up. You want to go get somebody in the second round. I think Alec Pierce might be their guy just because I think he's a more dynamic version of Lazard. And that's somebody who definitely interests me just because wins downfield. Release game is very good, can get wide, but can get upfield very quickly to stack. Wins high at catch point, good blocker. Those are a lot of things the Packers like, and a good athlete. So a lot of things the Packers like with Alec Pierce. I think the other name to watch in round 2 now is Sky Moore. And I know it feels redundant when you look at Cobb and Amari Rodgers. I just think he's a better he feels like a Cobb type, coming out of school. Very explosive player, great route runner, great attention to detail in his routes, can win over the middle of the field, good hands, can sky up and get the football, isn't afraid to lay the boom in terms of blocking, but has the explosiveness to win after the catch as well. And I think a 3-level threat. So that's somebody where you kind of, if you're kind of like, we got to swallow our pride with the Amari Rodgers pick, wasn't a great one. You go get Sky Moore and say Treylon Burks. So Treylon Burks and Sky Moore add to the room. I would like that a lot. For the Packers, that would feel very good. Olave would be great too. Olave Pierce, like that too. So there's a lot of options for the Packers now when you have 4 picks in the top 2 rounds to go get receivers. So I kind of expect MVS to return. It sounds like that might be a foregone conclusion, as much as it sounds like the Rasul Douglas deal is going to as well. I still would go Cooks. I think you go Cooks and you get a bigger guy, an X. Maybe you move up for London and you get somebody like Sky Moore. Man, that'd be unreal. And it's doable for the Packers to reload this room quickly. And I threw a lot of names at you, and we'll get to a lot more when we do the Packers wide receiver preview on this channel. But just some thoughts in terms of where they could go for you guys in this one with free agency, trade, and draft. So hope you guys enjoyed this video on how the Packers can really reload. And they need to reload aggressively at the wide receiver position to, 1, get a great group in there to threaten defenses all over the field, and 2, because it's time. It's time to have multiple guys who can win on their own again, like in the early 2010s when the Packers had that. So they got a lot of options. They need to take advantage. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do and enjoy videos, as always, drop the like button down there. Subscribe if you're new. Plenty more NFL draft, mock drafts, prospect profiles, Packers draft-centric content, film room content, all coming soon. So make sure maybe turn that bell on notifications. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.